We'll begin today's demonstration as a maintenance manager. And the first page that we see here would be our dashboard. And here we can see we have a range of different insights and functions. We can have a mix of chart. Let's say this work order status chart, give you information about how many work orders would be new versus in progress, and from there you could drill down to these work orders. We have a wide range of different KPIs that we can customize as well, different graphs. Some of my favorite functionality are the simplest as well. Okay, so here you're one click away from creating a request or one click away from creating a work order. So it makes it very convenient. And what we see here on the left is our latest Mobi AI functionality. Okay. So here we can configure a daily summary, and this will look at the work orders. If there's a lot of work orders, it will give you a top 10 most notable work orders as an example. And here, I see that the fridge is functioning well, maintain temperature, but there's some damage on the door. And from here, I could click on view work order card, and it would bring me to the detailed work order. If not, what we'll do here is we'll take a look at the asset structure. Okay, so if I go on my menu on the left and I go under assets, I have a filter. Let me just remove the filter. I see here that I have different factory, and I can drill down within these factories. So let's say here I have my Texas factory. Okay, I have different production line underneath. Sorry. Okay. So here I have the body shop. Underneath the body shop, I could have an assembly system, and underneath the system, I will have the actual maintainable asset. We can use the search bar as well. Okay, so if I search on stamp, I have a stamping system here. And when I click on the stamping system, I open up the card. And on the card, I get, of course, generic information, but I can know, let's say, my maintenance history. So if I click on finished work order, you see I have 7 finished work order here. Okay, and this will open up. Let's just make that a little bit bigger. And here, this is essentially giving me the historical maintenance against the stamping system. Okay, same goes for work order requests. We have parts as well. So parts are essentially items that we're expecting against this asset. So it's very useful for clients that have, let's say, hundreds of different bearings. It can be overwhelming to just search on keywords. So this is why we recommend defining parts that links item number, parts number to assets. We can of course have attachment. I have a picture here, but often I would see client linking maintenance manual, a link to a PDF file, or there could be a link to a SharePoint or any repository that you may use. And from here, we could quickly create a request, create a work order. Okay, we'll leave that for a little later. There's one more thing that I want to show as a maintenance manager or a maintenance planner that I think really sets TAG Mobi apart, which is our planning functionality. If we go here, let's say under dispatch, what we'll have here is essentially a matrix over here of all my technicians, okay, or a selected group of technicians. We could filter on that. I have a table here in the middle, and on the right, I'll have all of the different work orders that I would need to dispatch. Let's say take this work order 200, and we could say that we will assign it to Emily on Saturday. Just loaded my my work orders for the week. Okay. But yeah, this is essentially what I wanted to show here. Is it gives a visual view, okay, of who's working on what and who's available at the same time. Okay, so let's say we take this work order, this emergency work order here, fire incident. I see that Fred has some availability on Tuesday. We can drag and drop it, and now Fred is assigned to this paint shop emergency. Another planning tool that we have will be the Kanban board. So the Kanban board is just a way to organize and visualize work orders. So what I have now is work orders by technician. So I have 47 unassigned work order. I see Sam has 13, Robert 15. So I'll do here, replacing wheel and nuts. We'll just assign this to Sam. Now Sam would be assigned to this work order. So there's different variables that we can use for a Kanban board. Technician is the one I showed, but status is another good one. So here we'll see essentially our work order is displayed by status. So all of the new work orders, all of the dispatch and progress completed. And last but not least on the manager profile would be preventive maintenance and work procedures. Think of it as triggers. The weekly HVAC air quality check is a very good example. So we can set up what we call maintenance policies. And in the maintenance policies, we have what's the interval. So this is every week. Every week we expect a work order for the HVAC system to be generated. This work order can have a lot, okay? It can have different lines with instruction on how to do so, but it could also have attachments. It could also have some expected usage or part, and this will create work order, and over time it will populate a log. And with the log, it's very useful because you can measure PM completion. If we simplify this down a little bit, let's say this weekly AirVac check after a year, we would be hoping for 52 completed work orders, but with the logs, you could see that maybe you've missed week 24 and week 42 as an example. So now enough with the planner. Okay, we'll switch to a requester profile and we'll really do the full end-to-end workflow of corrective maintenance. Okay, so what I can do here is I can go under administration and profiles and I can change my profile. Of course, you would want the profiles to be pre-assigned to each user, but for today's demo, it's convenient for me to switch in between profiles. And the first thing you'll notice here is my menu on the left is really simplified. First, I don't have the dashboard, I don't have the planning capabilities, so this would all be customized through profiles. What we'll do here is we'll hit create a request at the top. And here I have a form that I need to fill in. So yeah, let's use our stamping system again. And here, problem description. I could key in the problem description, but I'll do something else. A neat AI feature that we have generate text. And here my target language is English, but what we've noticed is operating across the world. Often the end user's first language is not English. So what I'll do here is I'll just type in French, what's the issue with this request or what's going on with this request. Essentially here I'm saying the press produces a lot of defects. I'll click generate. And you see here the stamping system is producing a high number of defects impacting product quality. Okay, so we can configure how much details we would want the AI model to put in here, but what's great, it really elevates the quality of the data, of the notes, the description that gets inputted in the system. And here I can add some problem codes, some maintenance type if I need to. Could add a picture as well. We'll just add a picture. Of course, I'm demonstrating on my computer now. I would say most of the time requesters would be running this off of a phone or a pad. And rather than uploading the file, they would just snap a picture right of it. Here what we have a broken excavator bin. So here we'll submit. And here will give us a request number, request 103. So now that request would go, likely back to our planner or our maintenance manager for approval. And then ultimately it will get converted into a work order. What I'll do now is I'll change my profile from requester to technician. So we will have seen 3 profiles today, right? Remember planner, requester, then technician. And my technician is a little different as well. You see here I now have access to inventory management as a technician. Okay. And here I can see what items I have in stock. And I also have access to work orders. So that's really the main difference between a requester and a technician. The technician will have the capability of creating and completing work orders. So here, what we can do, we can select the work order. It will open up the work order card. And on the work order card, we could edit this work order. We could also clock in. If I clock in on this work order, it will start a timer. This is a new functionality that we have. So rather than relying on timesheets or manual input, we just have the users clock in, clock out, or complete. It builds the timesheet for them, so to speak. Now if I hit report maintenance, okay, we'll essentially complete this work order. All of the forms that you see here are customizable. This one is quite standard. First thing would be input some notes. Okay, so what did you do? So you see here I also have, if I turn this on, I have a rich text editor. Depending on the industry, sometimes there is very complete notes, while sometimes the expectation would be something just like this. Everything okay. We have those 2 check boxes here. Okay, if the work order is complete, okay, you turn this on because it's possible to just edit the work order without completing it. If you turn this on, this will archive the work order or route it to a maintenance manager for approval. If the work order is completed, but we need a follow-up work order, we see this often with preventive maintenance. Let's say you remember our weekly HVAC inspection. If the inspection were to fail or if we notice any damage or anything like that that needs some attention, we would create a follow-up work order. This is important because it helps us, it generates good KPI, of understanding how much our PMs are effective at raising follow-up work orders and preventing breakdown. If we go under the task section, we can add some tasks to this work order. Okay, and here we could say, step 1. Of course, if the work order would have already been created from a maintenance plan or from someone else, the task would have already been there, but you always have the capability of inserting a task. Right here, you can add as many tasks as you need to. The alternative to the clocking in would be inputting actual time over here. I am in an hourly unit of measure, it could be minutes, doesn't really matter. And we can finish those tasks. Under usage, we can add some items. So these will be the same items we saw a bit earlier, but here let's say that I've consumed some belt drive motors. Depending on your setup, you can have a location code being mandatory. So here I'll say that this is at my silver location. I'm consuming 1. You could also track lot number, serial number. We won't bother with that for now. And then of course you could add attachment. It's the same functionality I just showed on the request. In a nutshell, I hope this gives a good overview of what data we can capture when completing a work order. And what we'll do now is we'll submit maintenance report. I get an error message here. And the error message tells me my note must contain at least 20 characters. We can configure, okay, per profile, what's the expectation for each of the fields. In that case here, we expect 20 characters, everything okay. Add a bit more meat, okay? We'll say I replaced the electric motor and restarted. So here I had an example on the notes, which is very common, okay? But we might also have some required fields, let's say on failure codes or order type or statuses. So all of these could be configurable. Here we'll submit the work order, and now this went straight to a finished work order. So it's archived. It's archived against our asset, against our list of work order. We could have had an approval workflow. If we don't expect technician to go straight to archive, that's something we can configure as well. I hope this demonstration was useful. It was quite fast-paced, but if we do a quick recap, okay, we took a look at the planner or manager functionalities at first, the dashboard, the dispatch, Kanban, asset structure. Then we did a request. Okay, request was fairly easy. Okay, just raise a request. You can add a picture. You can use the AI to generate some text for you. Last but not least, we switched to the technician profile, went to the work order list, and then we've just completed our first work order.